So today's going to be a bit of a learning experience then. We're off to one of our local gardening horticultural shows. Never done this before, no idea what I'm doing, but it's that whole you have to join in, you have to support your local organisations, or there's no point in them doing this stuff, so use it or lose it. So I've got some onions in my bag, some random flowers from the garden. Like I say, I've never done this before and it's not really kind of something I'm into, but just for support. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Okay then, so right, so today is the Royal Caledonian Horticultural Society kind of thing for us. We're members of this group and it's a horticultural society that looks after the whole of Scotland. Now they're not on their own, they do a lot of stuff with other groups because we have local, like very local to your town groups that do this kind of stuff. So today, this group, we call them the Cali, are joining up with the Edinburgh Allotment Society. Now, I'll get the name wrong, it's like Fediga or something like that. I'll put it in the text. But together they're doing this big show and it's flowers and veg, and that's what we're going to do. Now, never ever done this kind of thing before. I'm quite nervous, but also quite excited. Kate's just coming for moral support, she's just getting sorted. But I'm showing my onions and some flowers from the garden. Now, to be fair, I have no idea what I'm doing. They provide a sheet and they give you kind of basic guidance, but you don't really learn this stuff unless you talk to people or you go. Now, it started yesterday because you have to do a bit of prep to your veg before you show it. So yesterday I was doing something called whipping onions. Yeah. This is yesterday. I think today might be the weirdest thing I've ever done with you guys. I'm about to tie some string round some onions because tomorrow is the Royal Caledonian Horticultural Autumn Show, so veg show basically. And I've never entered one of these shows before. To be honest, I've never really had an interest, but I keep getting people doing the whole, you should do it just for fun, come along. And it's that thing of, if we don't join in with these things, there's no reason for all our local horticultural groups to do it. So I don't have show-worthy onions. So here's the thing. For this one, I need 3 onions that are basically identical in size and shape and weight, and they're all perfect and not blemished and things. I don't have that. I've got 2 that are kind of the same and 1 that's not really. But I'm just going to do it for fun and to see what it's like. Yeah, but it means I have to do this whole thing about staging them, which I've never done before. Right. So let's do this. So for our show, you have to fold the neck over and tie it with string. And then obviously cut the excess off. This is just the weirdest thing. Like I say, I don't quite have 3 that are the same, but they're kind of roughly the same. And I've been as careful as I can to try and not damage them and stuff when I've been drying them. And what do I need to do? So, cut off the extra excess here. Now, like I say, I've never done this before, so I can't teach you guys how to do it. There will be loads of channels out there with the guys that do show their veggies, and they'll be much better people to show you how to do this. But I have watched some videos, so I'm really hoping I can learn from that. Right, I'm going to get a long bit of string. Now, there are also lots of things you can show, sort of other veggie wise, but I don't really have anything this year. It's a really poor year for me. So I'm doing my best. But I'm going to go around the garden and see if I might have the odd wee sort of flowers or whatever I can show as well. I don't think I will. But yeah, we'll try and see. That is just the ugliest. Hey, I've never done this before. Right, 1 onion. That is ridiculous. I ain't gonna lie, folks. Even if I'd had 3 perfectly sized and beautiful onions, just because of that whole necktie thing, they ain't gonna win. But here we go, it's a bit of fun. Right, tidy up. There we go. Strangled onions. Catch you in the morning. Welcome to the Callie show at Saughton Park. It's quite exciting. There's loads of people here, there's loads of flowers, it all looks fantastic. The veggies, you should see the veggies. A guy just turned up with a wheelbarrow full of entries. Quite excited. So I'm currently in the hall where the veg entries are. Quite nervous, never done this before, but everyone's so friendly though, that's the thing. So yeah, so I'll go and I'll leave everybody's stuff here. But yeah, there's loads. Now we also entered a few very pathetic looking flowers. So this is the hall where the flowers are. And you can see it's beautiful. People's entries are so gorgeous. And mine's are quite embarrassing compared. So I was out this morning desperately trying to find something that wasn't munched by the slugs and hadn't been killed by the rain. So I've got some dahlias in and a wee bit of perennials in that just look awful compared to everyone else's. But yeah, it's quite exciting. So I'll bring you back later on and show you how it all goes later. So the judging's going on just now. I was allowed to in just to get a wee clip of them judging. But yeah, it's all top secret. Haven't gone near any of my stuff. Yeah, we're all waiting. It'll be open soon and we'll get to find out who's won what's happening.
What I would do is put that on there just to say that if you had entered this in the cake, it would have been the...
For effect, well, a balanced vase for a start. Some with a bit of height in it.
We're so lucky, guys. I have managed to get Colin, who's one of the judges today. Now, he's a member of the Callie, the same as me. In fact, he's an ex-president of the Callie. But he's going to come and actually tell us what they're looking for when they're judging some of the veggies. So I've picked a few of the kind of main ones that I know you guys grow. And we'll see what he says.
So, looking at these courgettes, right, it took me a good 5 or 10 minutes to decide what we were doing here. And technically, that should get her first.
Okay.
And the reason it should get her first is it has its flowers on the end.
Okay.
And it's not been trimmed off too brutally at the... But I didn't give it a first because they weren't even.
Ah, okay, right.
Yeah, that got her first. I can just about see the remains of the flower. And these are slightly more even. These for me are too big. That's just personal preference.
Right, okay.
I would have fallen for these, but you've got that bit of damage on them.
Okay.
So that's my third,
See, those are cute.
aren't they? Potatoes, I immediately started looking at them all. Okay, and I looked at that kestrel, right? And the reason I was looking at that first was I quite like the coloration on them.
Nice.
Anyway, then I turned them over, bit of green, right? So they got a second, and I went for the Desiree. Okay, because
Nice and even colour.
nice and even colour, a tiny little bit of damage, but not a lot, and they just look that bit nicer. And I gave a third to the pink fir apple.
Now, I was about to say that one's a bit wonky shaped.
Yeah, but pink fir apple, that's what they're like, okay? And the reason they got a third was every other one, they were a bit rough looking, and that was the roughest of the lot. You see the wireworm damage, yeah. So what you should be looking for is a nice clean spud with no damage on the skin if you can possibly get away with it. And a little tip, and this is what old growers used to do.
Okay.
They dug up half a dozen shores to get 5 of the same variety, obviously. Then they washed them gently with a sponge, and then they put a few Lux Flakes in some fresh water, and it just gave them a little sheen.
Now, these are the tricks that you only know from being around the shows a bit.
Yeah. No, right, so let's have a look at the Kelseys first. Okay, so Kelsey onions are a certain shape, okay? They're sort of slightly oval, yeah?
Ah, okay.
And they're always grown from seed. And you can always check to see if they were grown from seed, because if you look at the plate, if they were, and Kelseys won't be grown from sets, but if you were looking on the bench and it said 3 onions and it didn't matter whether it was Kelsey or not, but grown from seed, you'd look up the plate, and if there was a little hard bit in the middle, that's the remains of the set. So then you'd say, that's been... Yeah, okay. So,
clever.
Yeah. But I don't like the way they're finished off.
Yeah.
You see, what you try and do is you lift your onions about a fortnight before they're needed, so they start maturing, and then you clean them up. And another thing a judge will look for is to see how many skins have been taken off. Okay, and sometimes you'll see that the basal plate sticks out a little bit, and if it sticks out a little bit,
lots of skins have been
taken off it, right? Now with these, they're pretty flat, not bad at all. And then you trim it off, and you'll trim it off and leave about 6 or 7 inches above. And then when you come to prepare it for the bench, you'll cut it back a little bit more, and then you will fold it over, or you may just whip it with some twine, okay? And then, if you can, set it on 3 curtain rings, to keep them upright, okay? They got a first, obviously. They got a second, but both sets are quite even. But with Kelseys, you would always go for size if you possibly can.
Because those are the ones that are meant to be big onions.
Yes. And in fact, Kelseys hold a world record, I think.
For massive.
Big. Yeah. So we'll come along to it.
So this section wasn't about size.
No, this was about three good onions. Okay. And that got a first. And it's not the biggest.
Nope.
But the skin's nice and mature.
Okay.
Yeah, nice and brown. I would have liked to see them a bit browner, to be quite honest.
Now that was something I wondered about. I was like, am I meant to peel it back so that it's white today?
Yeah, I was swithering about that one. Where's my third gone? I should know, shouldn't I? That's my third. That's my second. Right. The reason I got a third is we split down the back. Yeah, but they're nice. Nothing wrong with them. Nice and even. Yes, they are. And if I hadn't had the split, that would have been my second.
Okay.
But that got the second, even though it's not the evenest. But that's my winner. And you wouldn't gravitate to that straight away.
No, well that's what I wondered.
Yeah, you wouldn't gravitate to that straight away. So, yeah.
Tomatoes then?
Yes.
So tomatoes are a big thing that I grow and that lots of folk on our channels grow.
Yeah. So you want a wee stem. Like, in fact, all of these are pretty good. They've been pretty good. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, that got the first.
Nice and even.
Nice and even.
Good colour.
Good colour. And I looked at them all, and they're all red right the way round. They're
properly ripe.
Looking good. Yeah. And where's my second one? I should know that. That was my second.
So again, it's the same. They're all nice and even.
Yep.
They're glossy.
And then that's my third. Notice I haven't gone for that one or that one, which are they're traditional varieties. think that's
so
a money
that
maker.
one's not as even
They're not as even,
colour-wise.
and they're not as even colour-wise, no. And again,
Same
that
here.
isn't. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting this.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And to be quite honest, none of this is rocket science. Basically, if you harvest it and it looks good, then you get it on the bench, basically. Yeah.
And it was that thing, I expected fancy pants show stuff. So I came in expecting the things you see at like Chelsea or whatever.
You see, the difference with this show is it's grower and allotment based, right? And amateur go. A lot of the bigger shows, in fact, the now defunct Dundee Flower and Food Festival, they had an organisation called the National Vegetable Society looking after it. And what they're looking for is perfection.
Next level again.
Yes. And
So
I'm not
yeah.
a next level
So
judge
this is what
at all.
put me off, because I thought that's what you had to be like.
no,
But yeah, it's not. It's
No,
just for
so,
everyday growers.
Classics, especially for NVS type shows, are leaks.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, some of them are like telegraph poles.
Yeah.
You know.
You see what they go through to get
yeah.
that.
Well, to be quite honest, you wouldn't eat them.
Yeah.
These, and this is why personally I like a show like this, is because everything can be made.
Yeah.
You can make a soup out of it all. You know, you can cook with it. Whereas a lot of the NVS stuff, you can cook with it, but a lot of it possibly, I'm saying possibly, won't taste as good.
Yes. It's going to be all fibrous.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
So that's it open. We're allowed in now. So let's go and have a wee nosy.
Okay, and have a look at the results of the judges' efforts.
Just look at this. How fabulous.
You got a prize?
No.
You got second?
No.
This is my cake.
How?
I mean, your giants were nearly as big as
Yeah, they're proper giants.
Yusuf.
Oh my word.
Get you. Those are beautiful.
Those are lovely. Mine looked a bit more like that, slightly scuffed. See what I mean about tomatoes?
Yeah, actually, I had some tomatoes like that is something you forgot about because you're in
I'm not seeing any peppers.
Oh, is it from us? Yes. All right. Well, John's.
Chilies. I've learned. Bloody ploughman.
cool name for it. It's George again.
Apparently there's a story with those though, he was saying on Instagram. So the question is, what have you seen that you now want to grow?
Lots of things, but I don't know what they're called. But there's lots of things, so hopefully we can identify them from you.
Any cosmos that you want?
No, I'm being good.
It's all dahlias then. Well, there we go, home from the show. What a day. And I can't believe it, my first ever time entering, and I got second place for my onions. I learned heaps today, and that's the thing. Before, I would have looked at these and thought, wow, they're huge, that's I learned today it's not about the size of the onions unless you're grown for giant veg. It's about the quality of them. There's no damage, there's no blemishes. When they ask for 2, 3, 4, 5 of things, it's about getting that many. So for me, it was 3 onions, getting 3 that were the same size, the same shape, and looking at the colourings. And that was a big thing for me. I assumed I would have to enter onions that are all beautiful and white, but actually mine could have been browner, and that was the advice I got from Colin the judge. Not all of my onions were properly brown yet, so you can see this one is golden brown, this one still has a lot of white on it, or yellow, and it's still to go properly brown. So if these had all been nice and evenly brown, so they'd been stored long enough, that would have counted for me. It was brilliant. I learned loads. The main thing I learned today was about the fact that these shows are for everyone. They're fun. They're not about being perfect. They're not about everything being professional. It's a bit of fun. It's friendly, and everyone's doing their best with their best veg and flowers. Some people have amazing stuff. They've been lucky this year. Some people not so much, but they're still entering. And I tell you what, I wish I had entered more, because I walked around looking at things and thinking, mine's is at least as good as that. So I was warned before I went that this is addictive. I'm going to be entering more next year, and I might even enter the spring bulb show this year as well. I hope that was a fun wee glimpse into our local show. It's out of season now, but if you want to get prepared for next year, there's my videos all about grown onions. See you folks!